today I would like to give you some information about our lovely speaker, Nicole. And Nicole Fischer and I have known each other for several years, and more recently, last year, she interviewed me on her Reinventionist Lounge for successful women, and about my book Lady X and about my life journey. So I was very honored and blessed to have a personal interview with Nicole. And Nicole, as you all know, has been the CEO of the Reinventionist Woman Success Academy. And she's passionate about empowering women and entrepreneurs on their journey to success and business, and also in their personal lives. She has worked with clients for many years to utilize in her expertise as a top #1 corporate marketing executive, working for leading and innovative international organizations, and one of which went IPO, and applies her appreciation of women entrepreneurship, which she has gained in a high-level marketing position at a billion-dollar company, delivering marketing campaigns to over 27 million consumers. So today we are very blessed and honored to have Nicole here with us today. So as you all know, she's going to talk us through her steps that was in the Brains article, which is also a great honor to be in this article as well, to be one of the authors on such a highly esteemed magazine. And her little note is, find your passion, become the iconic version of you, and build a profitable business that you love. So everything we do is about love, because love is the key to success in all areas of our life. So for the people who have just joined us, I'm going to be asking Nicole some questions. And if you have any thoughts or questions, write them down. And at the end of my interview with Nicole, you can all open up the floor and ask us some questions. So without further ado, please welcome Nicole.
Thank you so much, Beverly. You made me sound like so big. Thank you. It's very and I'm so glad to be here. I really am honored. I am honored. I'm the one who is honored to be interviewed by you. And so glad to be sharing, hopefully, something that inspires all of your wonderful women that are in your Be Here Now movement, I have to say. And it's so lovely that it's also a global movement. And just, you know, casually sharing about this topic, the 7 keys to reinvent your life and your business. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Nicole. You're very humble. So, without further ado, my first question to you is, many women are ready for a shift in their lives, being more aligned with a professional pursuit that is on purpose, whilst or starting their own business. Can you share with us what got you started on your journey to your own, as you call it, reinvention?
I think when all of this started to happen inside of me, this questioning, and it wasn't the first time, as you have a look, my background was in corporate, and I worked for really, really exciting companies, be it in Europe or later also in South Africa. And I always enjoyed that a lot because I could work a lot on my own. I had my own national marketing teams, and I could already there create my own little family spirit. And because we were all women, you know, I could just, you know, introduce the topics that I think you and I also share to my work within my little division. Then I moved countries again and started something new for various reasons, some of which were also personal. But after a while of running my own little boutique consulting company, where I consulted with companies and help them to grow and scale their business, I felt uninspired. And I actually felt that I was just, going through the motions, and I didn't really feel I was living something that we would call a purpose. Now, it was nice work. I enjoyed it. I was successful at it. There were also struggles in entrepreneurship, but I just felt there had to be something more. And I think I was also approaching the 45 years of age and plus. And maybe also because on the personal side, there have been so many shifts. So I started questioning everything. And I turned it all around because I wanted to arrive at something that was more meaningful, where I really made a bigger difference to the world, however big or small. I had no idea what I was embarking on that journey. And I engaged with a life coach. And she really, this was a very powerful experience for me. And I really started to understand what coaching means and how much more there was inside of me that was just longing to come out. And so this is how it all started.
Cool. So what is a good starting place then for all of us here on this call today to start our reinvention? As I just mentioned, you've written an article on the topic in Brains magazine talking about the 7 steps to reinvent your life and business. So could you please tell us more about that?
With pleasure. That's such a wonderful question. So in my journey, I had to obviously get to something deeper, like as in, my why or my zone of genius. And these are, I think, 2 very nice starting points that we can all start with. What is really, I call it my zone of genius. And I think, many people speak to that topic. But what is something that I love doing that lights me up from the inside? And in the best of cases, connected to a little bit of a why. And when I started going through my own search, I also did a wonderful assessment on finding out about my own strength. And I also have shared the link with you. So maybe that is something that you can share with your wonderful ladies in your group. It was literally a strength assessment, but it was quite profound. So I found out that I actually love to learn and I love to lead. And it made perfect sense to me because I know how much I'm about absorbing information. So if you remember the caveman, I'm like the absorbing information kind of girl. And I wanted to do something with it. So I thought, well, I've got this background in marketing. I've worked internationally. I actually coached teams, my team members, but I didn't know that I was a coach, and I did it very intuitively. So I thought, there is something in this. What if I can bring all those elements together? My zone of genius, learning and leading, and then using my skills in business, marketing, everything around coaching. And this is how this Reinventionist Woman Success Academy idea started. So, which is basically an online learning place. So to put this all into one sequence, I think remembering where your strengths are, and all of us, we do have strength, but often we're not aware of them. And we're not giving ourselves credit that we have this amazing gift, ability, knowledge to share. And then really connect this with your deeper why. What is it that you want to do in the world that maybe extends beyond your own, just extends beyond yourself, your own small sphere of influence? Maybe there's something more you want to do. And I asked myself these questions and came up with answers that meant something to me personally.
Thank you. I just noticed Kim shared the link for everybody to your article, but for those who are on our mailing list and Facebook, they've already seen them. Would you be able to go through the steps that you've mentioned in the article?
Yes, we can do that. I actually need to pull it up myself now because I don't have the sequence right in front of me.
It doesn't have to be in the sequence. I know you know your stuff, so you can just ad-lib it if you want.
So, I mean, it was basically really just reconnecting with my zone of genius and finding out my why. And then I also asked myself, how can I not turn this? Because for me, this was important to turn this into something that could become a business. Because obviously I didn't want to do this as a hobby. And so I engaged with my own coaches to help me basically create a whole sequence from knowing my why and my strength, stepping into my zone of genius, and then building a business that I'm passionate about. And I think that was basically the sequence for me that really gave me my purpose back.
Oh, fantastic. Because as I keep saying to everyone, we're here to lead a happy, purposeful, meaningful life. But so many people from our interview a long time ago, you know, we both agreed that a lot of people are lost. And especially now with COVID, you know, a lot of people, they could have personal loss, loss of jobs, loss of loved ones, loss of income. There's so much poverty in the world, you know, and the list goes on. So many women as well are ready to start doing something that they're truly passionate about and maybe looking to start their own business. And I know you, Nicole, have a very interesting view on how to monetize your passion in business. So maybe you could please tell us more about that. Because we all like to have money, don't we, ladies?
Well, I think it's incredibly vital that we do something that we stand fully behind, that we are passionate about. But then I say, you need to also understand that if you are passionate about something, that doesn't necessarily mean that because you're passionate about it, the market is, or your target audience, or who you would like to speak to or sell your product to, or whatever it is that you're wanting to launch. So I really advise and suggest that it is the most, the fastest or the most promising path to success, that you have your passion, but you also need a plan. You need a plan and a strategy, and really also some, just look at it from a side of being a business owner. And because otherwise you will stay in your hobby zone.
Yeah.
If you want to create a business around your passion, which is absolutely possible, then I would strongly suggest to work with someone who can advise you and help you, and do some market research around it, whether there is actually a demand in the market for what you're wanting to offer. And if I can speak to that, we have this very, very new and exciting industry of coaching, and I call it the advice sharing industry, because so many of us have got something we know, and we could teach it. And I think that is an incredibly exciting opportunity to also start dabbling with entrepreneurship and, you know, take your knowledge that could be something that someone else doesn't know, because you may be underestimating yourself and you're saying, oh, well, that's easy. Someone else wouldn't. So here you have a need, and you have maybe a challenge in your market, or your market would perceive what you have to offer as something that would help them to overcome their challenge. And then you just start, you know, obviously you need to create a brand around this and define your niche. So there are all sorts of principles, business principles, that could help you to monetize your passion.
Yes. Well, it was good that you mentioned a lot of people got hobbies, and that you need to make a plan and put it into action, because I know, even myself included, over the years, I'll get the best idea and I get really super excited, and I do all my market research, and then it's taking it to the next step. So, you know, a lot of people might think, oh, it's only a hobby, you know, it's not worth, I can't see it being a business. But, you know, when you look around the world at all the amazing things that have started as hobbies and become businesses. So what would you know, some people feel they're not good enough or not capable. You mentioned about coaches, and, you know, if people can't afford a coach, what would you say would be a way of getting them started and believing in themselves?
Well, I'm not the specialist on that topic of believing in yourself. I can only speak from my personal experience. And I think all of us go through moments when we say, Am I doing the right thing? Can I really pull this off? And I think, excuse me, I think it's just also a way of, you are very passionate about self-love. And I think it's that self-compassion that we have to give ourselves. It's a journey. And we didn't come to this world knowing all these things, all the, the business side of coaching, which I'm specializing on. No one knew about this, or, I mean, we're not trained at that. So take it step by step, explore, and I would be glad to share another resource with those of you who want to maybe dabble into, something like that, as in, sharing, starting an advice sharing business. So I'm happy to do that. There are some questions that are asked, think about who could be your ideal client? Would they be willing and able to invest in your services? So there are a couple of questions that one could go through to assess, is this really something that could work for me as a business? Because I'm passionate about it. Can I monetize it? And you have to ask yourself some questions. Is there a market for it? And there are ways and steps to do that.
Oh, fantastic. So that's very kind and generous of you to start a group and offer people advice to share business questions and tips and things like that. So what is one piece of advice that you could share with us that could make all the difference to each and every woman on this call today who want to change their career or even their life for that matter?
Well, for me personally, what turned my life around was engaging the services of a coach. At that time, a life coach, and I actually wanted to start out in that direction. So that is, get yourself support. If you can't work with a coach, or you don't want to, maybe also just create a support system around you, because I think we are a reflection of the 5 people that we spend most time with. I think that could be a good starting point. I think doing the strength assessment is wonderful. It really reminds you of your talents. And maybe from there, you have some wonderful ideas that you could start exploring. And the world really needs everything in the area of, health advice, and also wellness and life coaches, because I think so many people are asking themselves deeper questions, like the ones that you are asking, so, or that you are, sharing in your community. So I think the world goes a little bit deeper these days. The surface noise is hopefully dying down, and people are wanting to go back to their core beliefs, their core values. And I find that is a good starting point.
Great. I know, because as I mentioned earlier, lots of people have lost their jobs, or maybe that job won't exist anymore. So now I personally believe it's time for people to look within, and instead of doing jobs that their parents or their partners or their peer group suggested for them, that now is the opportunity that they can look within and truly follow their passion. Like you said, a hobby, whatever you're passionate about, you can make it into a business. So I think, that's a really good place to start. Look at your passion. And I know, Nicole, that you have some mindsets tools that you use as well. And what's one, for example, that really stands out for you? And would you mind sharing it with us, please?
I mean, absolutely. I think we alluded to this earlier. We probably touched on this. And one that is very close to your heart as well is also love and being patient with ourselves,
Yeah.
I think around that, I know you are always coining this question: what would you do if you were totally in love with yourself? Or I hope I worded it correctly. That is certainly something that I also had to remind myself of. Starting from that compassion with yourself, being patient, doing things step by step, and also if I may add that one, celebrate progress. Just celebrate progress. Well, today you did this little step. That's great. Just celebrate yourself for that. Because I think, in corporate, sometimes it can be a high pressure environment. In my case, it wasn't that high pressure, but I know that this can really often crush us. So, because you always have to deliver. No, celebrate your progress every day. Celebrate your progress. And that means you can celebrate more and more and more, because you're not only celebrating achievement, which is wonderful. But I think we need to be a whole lot more gentler with ourselves. And out of a sudden, you breathe, it opens up, your mind clears, and you're getting the ideas. And then obviously making a proper plan so that you know that you move from hobby to a proper business.
Yeah, and I know you're going to gift everyone on the call your planner that you designed yourself. Do you want to talk us through that, what you've got on your planner, and what gave you the idea to make it?
Yes, oh, that's lovely. I thought I needed a planner for myself. And I wanted to create one actually also for the online academy, the Reinventionist Woman Success Academy, but it's a project that I need to do some other time because we're so busy at the moment. So I just said, well, what are the elements that, that are important to me? It obviously relates to business. So I have my goals and my intentions on this calendar, but I also have have I done my daily exercise? But I don't want this to be another to-do. So whatever, it can also be, my spiritual exercise, my meditation, or just my gentle stretching. So my water intake, some health aspects. And I'm combining goals with changing or modifying habits. So what are some healthy habits that I could slowly introduce into my life? And when you open it, it's nothing complicated. I did it for fun, but I think lovely structure for a day. And if you don't tick off all the boxes, that's also fine. But slowly, it can give your day some structure. Because if we're just, floating around and we're not having our days being a little bit structured without them stifling us, then I think we can get a whole lot more done.
Fantastic.
My approach. I hope this works for you ladies as well. So check it out and see if you like it and modify it as you please.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about your background? Like, how did you start originally? Like, when you went to school and uni, and what gave you the idea to go in the corporate world? And maybe a little example of what a day in the life of Nicole was as a busy billionaire company exec.
Well, look, it was actually, I'm very much a self-made woman. So when I started working for larger corporations and international companies, theoretically, I didn't have the acumen as in the university degrees, but I had other degrees, and I worked in my dad's business, which qualified me to join a company that then went IPO. And I was head of their European business development department at age 28. So the company, they went public. And I literally, they wanted my mindset, because that was the time when e-commerce started. So no one, not even with 10 university degrees, you could have had knowledge about this industry. So I think they hired me more for this position because of maybe my lateral thinking or my attitude or my learning ability. And I literally was thrown into the deep end, and it was incredible. And then, I immigrated to South Africa, and there I was headhunted by this then to become billion-dollar property company. And the CEO saw me in a presentation. And again, he liked my mindset. He liked how I presented things, how I analyzed things. So it was different skills than just presenting a CV. And he said, do you want to build this marketing department? I said, look, this is what I've done. This is what I haven't done. And he just gave it to me. And so I turned it around. So there was always reinvention. If I'm looking back now, I was constantly reinventing myself. Industries, new companies, new countries. So I seem to like reinvention. I was blessed because people really gave me an opportunity to grow into something and grow something. So they gave me the canvas, which was an incredible blessing. And I always had mentors who helped me along. And I was mostly self-taught, I have to say.
Wow, that's incredible. It's good. Like, I know my niece on the call has got 2 degrees, and many people today, I think they get obsessed with, not obsessed, but peer pressure as well, that, you know, sometimes companies won't look at your CV unless you've got the degrees, but it's wonderful that you were able to be self-made and just go for it. So that was brilliant.
To add, this was quite a while ago. So I think nowadays, and I was lucky to have CEOs who headhunted me who were very open-minded. I think I was also lucky, to be honest, because I met the right time. It's probably not a recipe.
Okay.
So I'm doing very well with her degrees and going, this is certainly going to be, you know, she's going to have amazing opportunities by having that. It was the .com era. So everyone was, you know, reinventing themselves or just getting opportunities. It was just that time. I don't know whether this is ever to be repeated, but I think at the moment, everything that's happening online, so many businesses and single female entrepreneurs are moving online. So I think there is a new opportunity for all of us women entrepreneurs, or to become women entrepreneurs or female entrepreneurs, to see whether there is a niche in this market that speaks to us and that we maybe want to build a business in. Not a fly-by-night, it's not get rich quick. So you have to put in the work, but it could be very exciting.
It's great. So I know you're a go-getter, and I know your message would be, you know, just go for it and stop dilly-dallying and make the most of it. So from South Africa, where did you go from there? Because you were born in Germany, and then
I worked internationally. I was then based in Hamburg, but I worked internationally. Our offices was in the United States, and then all over Europe we had offices. And then love brought me to South Africa.
Oh, fantastic. We like that.
There were lots of chapters in between, but then, you know, I lived in Italy, I worked in Dubai, so there was a lot of mixing and matching and traveling around the world, which wasn't always easy. I mean, you know, it's not like this was always like a smooth cruise, not at all. But this is just how we learn and how we grow, how we get groomed, that is within all of us, this iconic version. It's just slowly sizzled, you know, it slowly comes to the light. And I really think this is, all of us do have this opportunity. It's just getting
fantastic.
back to self-love, knowing your strength and your whys, all these beautiful elements.
Yeah, and I also say to people, you know, just because you've got a weakness doesn't mean to say it's a bad thing. A weakness could actually be a strength as well. And it's about knowing and recognizing and having your team support around it as well. But I know, because you've lived in different countries, and I know you've been in Monaco and France as well, and that's where our group is based, and nearly everyone there, I would have to say, is an expatriate. So you're living in a foreign country. So what would be your tips on cultures? Because I know it's very difficult working with the French culture, for example. You, in my opinion, I always say to people, you know, learn the way they work and operate, and then just accept it. Don't try and change anything, because they're not going to change. So you've lived and worked in a few countries. So what would be your advice to us that are living in foreign countries?
Well, I think, you know, I mean, South Africa is very much the British culture, and I felt I fitted in very well because I was an open-minded kind of person. So I didn't have to really change them. I felt very welcome because South Africans are very warm and open-minded. And so that for me was refreshing, because maybe that doesn't come from my heritage, but from my personality. But then when I lived in Dubai, I just tried, I didn't live, I worked in Dubai. When I just try to understand, as you say, just to try to understand where they were coming from and being respectful. Now, maybe Dubai is yet another slightly different angle because there we have a Muslim culture. But I would agree with you. It's just, you can't change people who are coming from certain value systems or habits, and maybe just embrace, what you can learn from that culture. I lived in Italy also for 4 years, so
wow.
Yeah.
Whereabouts? Because Cindy is in Italy as well at the moment. She's American, living in Italy. Oh, Lake Como. Oh, very romantic place.
So yeah, so I think, sometimes I was a bit impatient, or some things also, we are just human beings. I also struggled sometimes with, everything's going not fast enough. So, but I think it's just, fitting into the pace, and then where you can, where you need maybe a different support for yourself, well, then you connect with your expat community there as well, which I also did. So that you feel, okay, this is our normal, and then Italy maybe, okay, here they're a little bit different, so how can we mix the two? And I must say, all of these cultures have incredibly enriched me in retrospect. The Italians with their very much being in the moment, celebrating a piece of beautiful bread and tomato and wine. Awesome. So often in retrospect, I had deeper learnings from that time, and just saying, wow, they've really got that figured out. In France there are many things that we can probably speak to in terms of what France is offering in terms of the enjoyment, the beautiful food, and appreciation of things that maybe other cultures overlook.
Fantastic.
Don't really have, to put it in one sentence, I don't really have a recipe other than just living it day by day and growing within that.
And I think today that is a recipe for life. We take one day at a time, especially with these uncertain times. Like, how has COVID affected your business and your life?
It has been, it's scary to say, this has literally given me an opportunity, and it has pushed me, because I wanted to do more live events. I had to rethink everything, and this was for me fantastic. So I'm mourning all the losses. I don't want to sound trivial, but for me it has forced me to rethink everything, and what has come out now is so much more bigger version of what I had planned initially. So
it's wonderful to hear a success story. I just want to say thank you to Nicole for her wonderful presentation.